Good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing this morning? How's it going? Nice to see you all. Welcome back. It's 9 a.m. Thursday, where we throw it back to you. So I hope you brought some charts that you want to look at. And if you guys remember any of the charts that we were looking at last week, you could also take a brief look at those to see how they played out. I don't recall off the top of my head. I guess I should have checked to see what it was that we were looking at last week and the week prior. I know Netflix was one of them. I remember Netflix that we were looking at. So yeah, we could take a look at that. So how's everybody doing today? Good? Let's see, what kind of charts you guys want to look at? Yen pairs, US dollar, Japanese yen, US Swiss, US CAD, Euro Aussie. Okay. We can do that for sure. US dollar, Japanese yen. Let's bring that one up and see what we are looking at. So we've talked about the US dollar, Japanese yen quite extensively in the past. We can see that right here on the monthly chart, price is stuck in a range. Okay, so when price is stuck in a range, it doesn't make it an ideal chart to trade. We got this area down here, demand zone, institutional demand down there, institutional supply up here. Price dropped to institutional demand, reacted, move upwards. It contacted institutional supply, started moving down, and then went slightly back up. So, just by looking at this chart, I would have to conclude that it would want to drop. Okay? I would have to conclude that. Okay? Because when we have price in a range, every time it contacts supply, price drops. And every time it contacts demand, price rallies. That is until it doesn't, because eventually this range is going to have to break, and price will have to either break to the upside or break to the downside. But until that happens, price will typically stay in between like that. So, just looking at this chart, I'd have to conclude over time, price is going to drop. And that's pretty much all there is to say. I mean, when you look at the weekly chart, we have supply in play as well. Up there. So, likely we're going to see a drop. I can't say 100% because, the dynamics that are in play on the chart is very difficult to determine exactly how things are going to play out. But by examining the chart and seeing that it's in a range and seeing that supply is in play, I'd have to conclude that the next move is a move down. It's that simple. Okay. Let's see, Euro Japanese yen. We got to push up. Yeah, slight push up. CAD yen. CAD yen dropped from our targets, our long targets. Now is working its way back up. So there's a very good chance that we're going to see Canadian dollar, euro, pound get a lot stronger soon. Don't know how soon, but in time, very good chance. And with that, these yen pairs are going to start climbing back up and heading to new highs. That's what I sense is going to take place. Aussie Japanese yen, yeah, the slight pullback. Eventually, we're going to see it start to build back up again. So that tells me that if the US dollar Japanese yen drops, that usually means the yen will be strong. Well, yeah. So with the yen being strong, if we're looking at yen pairs and we are suspecting that we're going to see price head higher, all that means are the other pairs will be stronger than the yen. So, and when you look at pairs like the euro US dollar, we can see that it has been slowly setting up for a much bigger move to the upside over the very long term, and not much to stop it from doing that. But when you look at the US dollar Japanese yen stuck in a range, you know, this drop, when price is in the range, the drops aren't as quick. The moves aren't, the momentum is not as large, okay, as when price isn't in a range. So that could help facilitate a big move on those yen pairs. Okay, so Stephen Harper, so yen to get weaker? No, if price drops on the US dollar Japanese yen, the yen doesn't get weaker. It's getting stronger. US dollar gets weaker, yen gets stronger. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing in terms of the US dollar Japanese yen and the pairs. Gert Enslin, how are you, sir? Nice to have you back. I saw that you recently joined up again. You were one of the members from the very beginning. You signed up with us back in March 2018. Yeah, when we first started the school. You signed up with us. Anyways, it's nice to have you back. So you want to take a look at the USCAD. USCAD is on my list. Move off demand, not done. In my opinion, as supply never reached this legs of weakness. Your opinion, please, go. You're writing move off demand, not done, in my opinion. Yeah. Well, you know, when we look at price and we see how it has moved upwards, right? We can go to the daily chart. Let's look at this here. We see that price made a move up here like this, but you know, what is price reacting from? When we look over here, there's nothing here. Okay? There's no supply here. So price comes up, it stops here, and then it pulls back. So for me, you know, when price is not responding to supply, but we're seeing it, you know, tire out like this, what this typically is indicating to me is that the institutions were coming in, they were purchasing, and then when they stop purchasing, it just runs out of momentum. When it runs out of momentum, price will decline until they come back into the market and start purchasing again. And that can be at a random spot or at areas of demand. But the area of demand that we have is down here. So it could drop a little bit further and then reverse, or it can decide that it wants to just go up from here. Those are a couple options, but I'd have to conclude that simply because of this drop taking place from nowhere. Okay. Yes, on the weekly chart, we have this area here. This area here. Okay. Big drop took place from there. And this is exactly where we are getting that reaction to the downside. But we did not locate this as supply. This was not validated as a supply zone. Okay. So, very possible that we see a continued move to the downside. And to help us with that, we should also look at the dollar. So let's take a look at the dollar. And it has fallen shy of hitting supply. So definitely we could see a continuation of the move to the upside. That's for sure. All right, so We'll see. It's difficult to tell. It's like the boat in the middle of the ocean, like we've said many times. When a boat leaves dock and it's out in the middle of the ocean, the winds come and it can push it in any direction. So if there isn't any direct direction that the wind is blowing the ship from, then, how are we supposed to tell where price is going to move? When price was down here at these lows, we knew that the wind was blowing to the upside, which is why we made the forecasts that if these zones got taken out, we would see a move like this. And that is exactly what took place. How do we know that? Again, it was leaving the dock, and the dock was blowing, the winds were blowing north, so we got the move to the upside. So when the winds die down, and it starts to head in the other direction, these winds aren't very strong. They're not as strong as the winds that were blowing upwards. You could see that because the move downwards is just very, very small. So does it come back in and start blowing to the north again, or do we see price start to drop even further? I would not be taking trading trades right now. I would not be making trading decisions because it's not the ideal type of market for us to be getting involved. All right. Hit the like button while I go look at someone else's request. Let's see what we have here. How many we got? 37 of you. We got 15 likes. Can we bop that up a bit, guys? Can we get at least 35 today? That'd be nice to see 35 likes by the end of today's session. You can help with that. I'd appreciate it. So that's what I'm seeing with the USCAD. Next is EURAUD. So we look at EURAUD. Let's take a look and see what's going on here. It's a messy chart. Messy chart because it's been doing just about nothing over a long period of time. Look at this weekly chart. Okay. Weekly chart, slowly creeping up, but there's not much there. In terms of movement, there's not much there. So let's open up the daily chart. Yeah, it's slowly moving to the upside, but there's not much here. Not much here. What would you want to do with this chart? Just curious. What would you want to do with this chart? We suspect that euro over time is going to get stronger, right? But let's also take a look at the Aussie. No problem, Kurt. The Aussie still has demand that's in play. If that demand gets taken out, yeah, we have suspicion that price will drop. So that would be good for a Euro-Aussie long position, right? Euro strength, Aussie weakness. So there's a good chance of that. Good chance of that. But we typically see these pairs move alongside each other. So Euro gets strong, Aussie will get strong. There might be more strength in the Euro over time than the Aussie, which will cause price to rally. But you see, when we see this slow increase like this, it could be a move like this that takes place. So, this could continue like this slowly. It could. But when I just try to make a trading decision based on what's happening on this chart, I don't see anywhere that I could get into a trade. There's nothing on this chart that is telling me this is where the banks are buying. Okay? So if I can't locate an area where the banks are buying, I can't get into a long position. I just can't, because I can't just randomly jump into the markets and buy, right? Because then where do you put your stop loss? So I don't like this chart at this point. I don't see anything compelling here. So I have to stay away. I don't like it. I don't see anything decent. I don't see, where the institutions are buying. I see areas of selling, but, I'm not interested in selling this. So for me, it's not something that I want to get involved in. All right. Let me see. Euro Aussie. Yeah, so I'm not interested in Euro Aussie. US dollar, Japanese yen. We did that one. Please analyze US. Bitcoin. How's Bitcoin doing? Disastrous. Slight rally up from the lows and then dropping again. Buy the dip, buy the dip. Get you very far. We still have that area of demand holding over here though. That is still holding. You know, on the verge of breaking. On the verge of breaking, but still holding. Once that sucker goes, boy oh boy, there's nothing to stop price from dropping. Okay? Once that sucker goes, then we'll see, you know, the 20,000s. Price will drop to the 20,000. So yeah, this is not setting up so nicely. Let's take a look at the daily chart. I would adjust this like that. Let's check something out here. So that's what we got here on the daily chart. Okay. So I'd be watching that trend line to see what it does. It's let me see. Yeah, this is what I would do. It's a downtrend based on this trend line. And I would have this trend line as well. Okay, so we have two trend lines here. Each one holds different significance. Okay, but I'd be watching this one here, down here, to see what happens. But, yeah, I wouldn't be too excited at this point unless that lower trend line breaks to the upside and then big momentum comes in, because this could drop. Looking at these dips and making new lows on the daily chart, it's indicative of when zones break. You know, how low it got into the zone. You know, just a little bit more and this breaks. Once that breaks, that's it. There's nothing to stop price from dropping down here. Yeah, you could make an argument for, you know, there's a chance that, you know, just over 25, you might see another bounce up. There's a chance of that. But that's what I'm seeing in terms of Bitcoin. Okay. Let me see. Our likes are up there. Nice. Appreciate that. All right. So what other charts you want to look at? Let me see what you got. Bitcoin, US dollar, Japanese yen, oil. Let's take a look at oil. I was looking at oil this morning. So it contacted some institutional supply. And now we are seeing a slight pullback in price. Will it hold? It's hard to say. Here we have that supply area. Let me just open it up. Take a good look here. Here's that area of supply right here. That might fuel a drop. It's possible. That supply is also located inside a monthly area of supply, right here. So we have supply on the weekly chart, supply on the monthly chart that's pushing price down. So it can consolidate up here, it could drop, or it could even just shoot to the moon. I would not be speculating on oil right now, or be interested in getting into trades, because what's taking place on the higher time frames is something is setting up. So if something big is setting up on the higher time frames, I don't want to get involved in speculating what will take place on lower time frames, because those areas of supply, yes, they were useful when price was making its way down towards, you know, $10 and $20. And this was a trade signal here to go short, right? And then here. These were trade signals to get in short up there. So this supply was useful at this time. You know, during this time when price was in this blue area, that supply was useful. Now we are in another area. Okay? We're in a totally different era right now. And now we're coming up to that supply. So that supply's usefulness was in the past. It's no longer useful. Could we see a reaction to the downside? Sure. Yeah, we can. But would we be able to forecast that at this point? No, we wouldn't be able to. Okay? I mean, we can throw it out there and say, yes, we're going to get a drop, but that would just be a guess. All right? That would just be a guess. Because what's going to happen now is live time. If they drop price down from this area, it's because the banks are coming in with selling. That's why. It's not because there's a supply zone there and they're going to use it to drop price. It was already used. So they would have to come in live time with selling. So it's possible that they drop price, but it's difficult to tell based on, the dynamics of what's taking place on the charts. But as I've mentioned, this is setting up for a big move to the upside. I don't think we've come even close to seeing, what price is going to do. All right? Gas prices have been expensive, and you can expect them to get even more so. That's what I'm seeing over the very long term. Okay? Over the very long term. Many months, many years. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so, but yeah, we can see, we can definitely see, a longer term move to the downside. Okay, over weeks. This is a weekly chart here, right? Multiple weeks to get up. There could be multiple weeks to get down, or you can even pause here to get down to monthly. That's a very, very big possibility. What I would say is, if price gets down to those areas of demand, then the likelihood is the midterm move would be up, the long-term move would be up, and the very long-term move would be up. So if we could check mark all three of those, if we could check mark that one, and that one, that would be good. Okay, as opposed to just being able to check mark the very long term. Because once price is in demand, there's nothing but upside that we would be expecting. When price has already moved to the upside and we're hitting supply, but the very long term forecast is higher, we don't know if it's going to go higher from here or if it's going to drop first. Okay, because of the dynamic of the chart. If the dynamics were different, and they can be, it just depends on the chart. If the dynamics were different, we could forecast a move down from this area, and we could even forecast the exact area where price would reverse from. It would be that predictable. But on this chart, not so much so. Okay? So that's oil. Let's see what else you got. Can you explain more about why the reaction point of USCAD is not a validated supply on the USCAD? Well, when we looked at the charts, we just did not see that as being an area of supply on the weekly chart. It wasn't validated as supply. You can have areas that are bearish engulfs, bullish engulfs, but they are not areas of supply or demand on those charts. And we go through this in the classroom sessions all the time. And this is one of the common mistakes that we see new students do, is that they see these bullish engulfs or bearish engulfs, and they draw them in as supply areas or demand areas. Excuse me. And that's not always the case. So we teach how to locate them and how to differentiate them from areas where there is an imbalance, obviously, because you wouldn't have a bearish engulf unless there was an imbalance. You wouldn't have a bearish engulf unless there was more selling than buying at that area. But does it qualify as being a supply zone on that chart? A lot of times we'll have imbalances on certain time frames, but they are not supply zones or demand zones on that time frame. What they are their zones on one time frame lower. And it's very important to know the difference between it being a supply on weekly or a supply on the daily. It plays a very important role when you're doing your analysis, because you want to only recognize it as being a zone on whatever time frame it is. Otherwise, you're going to start doing the wrong analysis. Let's see. Did you get a chance to talk to your friend about Bitcoin lately? No, I didn't. But he sent something to me on my phone, a text message. Let me go get it. So I've had him over. He's come over to my place, and we've chatted. And one time he asked me, "So how's the markets doing?" How's the markets doing, Kev? I was like, "Oh, they're good. They're good. Markets are doing good." But I did not bring up Bitcoin. I don't know if he was trying to see if I was going to bring it up or not. But I'm staying away from that. He sent me a text. He likes to send me information every once in a while. MicroStrategy has purchased an additional 13,005 Bitcoins for $489 million in cash at an average price of $37,000 per Bitcoin. So he's looking for reasons to believe that his decision was the correct one. And that's okay. That's what a typical amateur trader does. Is they get married to an idea. 37,000 was up here. They get married to an idea, and they don't want to admit that they're wrong because their egos won't allow them to. And then all they do is they search for information to support their decisions. I see that a lot. There's a lot of analysts on Twitter, and I see their analysis, and their analysis is wrong. I could tell you that right now. They make these predictions about what price is going to do, and they're so wrong. And those people that support those analysts are the ones that are in the opposite trade. You know, like when gold was up. Let's see. When gold was up here back in July last year, gold was up here. There were so many analysts that kept on saying it was going to go higher, higher, higher. And it's like, well, you can say that, but like, what's your proof that it's going to go higher? You're not sitting with the bankers looking at whether or not they're buying or not. So how would you know that? But they were saying that, and there was a lot of traders that were long at those highs. So when you're long at those highs, all you're looking for is somebody else that believes the same thing. And so you had everybody who was long, you know, so happy to like the tweets and retweet the tweet. And I was thinking, I'm like, wow, you know, there's popular analysts that are popular because they're constantly supporting those traders that are in the wrong. So let's see, 105,085 Bitcoins acquired for 2.7 billion at an average price of 26,000 per Bitcoin. MicroStrategy has purchased an additional 15,000. Okay, so what? So what? So now you're looking for companies that are making decisions on buying Bitcoin. So what? So what that they bought Bitcoin? Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean it's going to go up. Okay? That doesn't mean anything. So you're finding somebody that supports you. Okay, great. Well, I have, you know, a lot more evidence to suggest that it's going to go in the opposite direction. You know, and I'm following the big players. I'm not following one company and what decision one company makes. I'm following what the institutions are doing. Again, I have no personal opinions on the market. I don't look at the news. I don't fall in love with currency pairs. I don't care if the euro is going to get stronger or weaker. I have no vested in. I live in Canada, okay? And if the Canadian dollar gets weaker or stronger, to me as a trader, it makes no difference. I don't care what it does. No, I don't have any care. The reason being is because I don't have any biases, and I don't want any bias. I don't want to have a bias of gold going higher or oil. Do I want oil to get stronger? Not really. Do I want it to cost more for me to fill up my gas tank? Not really. But at the end of the day, as a trader, I don't care if it goes up or if it goes down. All I focus on is the charts. And I look at what are the banks doing. And if the banks are producing chart formations that are indicative of a certain move that is about to take place, then I'll get involved and make money with it. But if I don't see it, then I'm not getting involved. And Bitcoin, no matter how good, it looks like as a buy, no matter how many experts are saying that they are buying it or how many companies are buying it, I don't have any interest. If the chart formation is not good for me to trade, then I'm not trading it. So I don't get married to anything. All I look for is good charts to trade, and that's it. If I find the chart, I trade it. If I don't find it, I don't trade it. That's simple. ETHUSD, newest crypto to the futures market, helps get direction on BTC. Could you check NAS100? I'm looking at retracement targets. ETH, yeah. It's the same garbage, ETH, the same shit. It looks the same way as Bitcoin. Same thing. Same thing. And we got demand located here. Nothing different. See, demand being contacted twice. And same thing. It's doing the exact same thing in the exact same phase. So when morning cap, another fun one. Newest crypto to the futures market helps get direction on BTC. No, I wouldn't say it helps get direction. When you know the context of where price is, these two, BTC and this one, they're in the exact same spot. Exactly the same. One is not leading the other. They're in the exact same spot. So I don't see any difference there. Let's take a look at NAS100. Let's see. At this before. If I'm not mistaken, I think we were looking at this one before. So this one's very strong. Yes, very good. Trends are all up. We had price come down and contact demand right here. And shoot up to the upside. Let's add this one. So we can keep an eye on it. Let's see. We had this here. Price came down and continued to the upside with that demand. So you had a couple good trading opportunities if you knew what you were watching for. One was there. Two great opportunities to get in long right there. Okay. And now on the 4 hour, let me see. Yeah, looks good. Upward trend. And areas so far have something like that. So what are you looking for there? Let me see. I'm looking at retracement targets for next month. What do you mean by retracement targets for next month? You're looking to get in long after it drops? Is that what you're thinking about? It's definitely, good to go long. I mean, the ideal places would have been here on the weekly and here on the daily. Those were the ideal spots to get in. Now it's already made its move to the upside. So, you don't really want to be chasing price. Could it go higher? Sure, it could, but you don't really want to be chasing price right now. So, yeah, same thing happened on this chart. NAS100 is a nicer looking chart. NAS100, the price action is a lot smoother. The candle formations are a lot nicer. NAS100, basically a better chart to trade, that's for sure. Okay. Let's see. Do you do pound Kiwi? Yeah. I was reading something. It's due for more pips to the upside. Okay. It's due for more pips to the upside. You were reading something and it's due for more pips to the upside. So let's first talk about that. Pound Kiwi. For the pound Kiwi to increase and go up in value, we would need to have a strong pound. Okay? That would be one of the essential ingredients in the pound Kiwi going higher. So we look at the charts, and if I had to label strength, weakness, or neutral on the charts, I would say, let me take a look at this 4 hour again. Oops. Let's get that out of the way. So this is what I would do. 4 hour chart is weak. The daily chart is weak. The weekly chart is neutral. And the monthly chart is neutral. Okay? So right now I'm not seeing any signs of strength in here. Okay? Yes, there has been momentum to the upside on the monthly chart, but now that's stalling. It's stalling so much that on the weekly chart, the ascending trend line is starting to break through. So that's a very weak sign for the pound. So I'm not seeing any strength for the pound right now. And again, for there to be strength in the pound Kiwi, there'd have to be strength in the pound and or weakness with the Kiwi. So we take a look at the Kiwi, we need to see significant weakness here. And so if I take a look at the weekly chart, I see that demand is being contacted. So we could get short-term strength, but how much longer is it going to last to? It's hard to say. Why? Because again, we've spoken about this before. We have price in a range. Supply has been contacted here and demand has been contacted here. So how does this play out? It's very difficult to say. How long is this strength going to last for? Difficult to say. When we look at the monthly chart, we definitely see that price contacted supply and it hasn't yet hit this demand zone. So could it be weaker? Yes, it could be weaker. But we're expecting weakness on the pound also. Okay, so we're expecting both weakness on the pound and the Kiwi. And what we need is strength on the pound, weakness on the Kiwi. And this can definitely go higher over the longer period of time, a very long period of time, from what we're seeing. So same thing with the pound. So now let's go over to the pound Kiwi, knowing what we just saw. And let's just examine this chart. Has it been slowly on their increase? Yes. But higher time frame, we got supply in play on the higher time frame. So could this continue to creep up a little bit higher? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's possible. But over the, the longer period of time, it looks like it's more likely to drop, to be honest with you. So I would not be trading this chart. I would not have any interest whatsoever to trade this chart. Let's take a look at the weekly chart. Yeah, the weekly chart's showing some decent strength, that's for sure. In fact, got something, like that. Price could come down and drop to it and then shoot up. That's a possibility. But let me see, drop. Let's check something out here. Yeah, this looks good for an uptrend. So we got decent momentum here on the weekly chart. That's decent. Decent momentum to the upside here on the weekly chart. No trend on the 4-hour. Daily looks like it's uptrending as well. Let me see. And it looks like that we have demand here. Right here. This trend line here. Let's see. Trend line. Okay. So we got momentum to the upside on 2 time frames. So in terms of strength, I see strength on the daily chart and I see strength on the weekly chart. But if you look at the weekly chart, we are retracing down towards an area of demand. So short-term momentum to the downside, potential mid-term, long-term momentum to the upside once momentum shifts off that area of demand on the weekly chart. So we could definitely see that over a shorter period of time, right? In terms of, looking at the weekly chart. So again, short-term move to the downside, mid-term move, and long-term move likely to the upside based on these 2 time frames. But when you look at the monthly chart, there's nothing here. There's no momentum there. So just be aware of that. And when we look at the higher time frame chart, the pushes to the downside. So we don't like to trade where we have a lot of mixed signals, right? One's bearish, the other 2 are bullish, the other one is neutral. I don't like too many mixed signals because you better be in and out and time it really, really well to make money off of that. We want all the signals to be in line with each other, and that's when price really makes nice moves. All right, we'll look at maybe one more, and then we'll get packing. So that's that. I'm doing well, Da Vinci. You see, you track ETH, the whole crypto market moves with Bit. Personally, wouldn't look GA. Yeah, I use total coin market cap. I used to be all up in that stuff. No offense, but crap. It's just a distraction. Oh, with Bitcoin, I use total coin market cap. Yeah, absolutely, Kev. Bias will kill you in the game. Yep. Exactly, Timothy. People use everything else instead of studying the charts the correct way. All you need to track institutional supply and demand. Let's see. So that's it. US 100. We'll do US 100. And then we'll call it quits. Let's see. Oh, yeah, this is the same chart. We already did this one. NS100. Yeah, so that's about it. We looked at it all. Let's see. Dow Jones, SPX. I like this one. SPX 500 US dollar. Nice. Very nice. Let's see. Back up. Yeah, lots of strength in the markets. Good. Okay, so that is it, guys. I will let you guys go. Thanks for joining me again for another Throwback Thursday session. Hope you enjoyed it. And just be careful with those bitcoins and those charts. ETH. I don't know. I wouldn't be touching that right now. I've been watching the daily chart to see if it's going to shift to the upside. If not, forget about it, because it could drop very easily. All right. So thanks everyone again, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care.